2026 is going to be the biggest year in info, and within this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you're not going to miss out on an opportunity to change your life forever. My name is Lionel, and I've operated on multiple info businesses. My total cash collected for the companies I've operated on is $7.2 million generated for my clients. I have multiple clients that hit six figures a month, and my biggest client I worked with was a fitness offer doing 1.2 euros per month, which roughly equates to $1.5 million per month. I scaled my own offer to 20K per month within its first offer. Within its first month, and I've gotten multiple of my students their first sales through their info products as well. You can see 2.5K PIF, and so on and so forth. Within this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would start from scratch and scale a seven-figure per month info product in 2026. You can see that step number one is starting with the end in mind. What do I mean by this? Starting with the end in mind means that instead of building your audience first and then thinking of the end product afterwards, you start with the end product and then you think about the audience that would want to buy from it. There's a couple of reasons why you want to do this. When you start with the audience first, you run the risk of attracting the wrong avatar simply because you do not understand what you're going to want to sell later on, right? And if you have the wrong avatar and you try to sell something to them, it's going to make your job 10 times harder. You start with the end product in mind first, and you don't have to have it fully fleshed out, but you have to have some general idea of what you would want to sell, whether it be selling crypto, whether it be, well, oh my God, crypto, whether it be selling a crypto offer, whether it be selling a fitness offer, whether it be, doesn't really matter. After you know what you're trying to sell, right, you need to do a deep dive of your competitors. This right here is my competitor list. You'll see this. This is one of my internal documents. So ignore the software stack and staffing. But you can see that I have a list of how many of this? 45 of my current competitors. And the reason why you want to find your current competitors, number one, we have to classify what a competitor is. So a competitor is somebody that's within the same niche. Let me think about how I want to explain this. A competitor is somebody that's within the same niche, targets the same avatar, targets the same problem, and offers a similar solution, right? This is going to give you a general sense of what it takes to capture that market, because all these people, all your competitors are going to be posting stuff online. After you have a filled out competitor list, then what you're going to want to go do is you want to learn how to reverse engineer their content. Now, this is an internal document of mine that helps me keep track of how I reverse engineer content from my competitors. But I will play a full video breaking down exactly how I do this right now.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you as much as I can about content real quick because I'm in content mode because I'm scripting my videos, right? It's going to be two parts, right? Number one is going to be market research on what to actually look out for. Number two is how you use that data to create your content, right? Starting off with market research, I have to give some context on why I do the things that I do, right? So my dad's an engineer, right? Really, I want to say, well, actually, I would say big time. So he really successful engineer, started his own consulting firm. My dad is literally a millionaire, right? He just travels, right, all the time, never at home, right? Uh, I only bring that into context to let you understand that my dad is a very, very intelligent man, right? So one of the things he taught me growing up is he taught me that you should never look at the end result of something. You should always look at the things that are being combined to make that end result. And just the exact example that he gave me, he said, take a pen for example, right? 99% of people, and this does have context when it comes to content. Just give me a second to get there, right? So 99% of people, right, look at the pen in its entirety, right? What you want to train yourself to do is look at the components that are being combined to make the pen. And he said, there's a number one, there's a spring inside the pen that allows it to spring like this, right? There's this eraser, there's the metal, there's the ink, right? That's in here. So all of this, these little things are being combined to make this bigger thing, right? Even like in a math equation, because he also related it back to math, right? So 2 plus 2 equals 4. 99% of people look at 4. What you need to train your brain to do is look at what is the two variables that are being combined in order to make the 4, right? This is how it connects it to content, right? Successful content, right, works the same way. Most people look at successful content, right, and they're like, oh, this is an amazing piece of content, and they're looking at the end results, right? I found success, quote unquote, right, at a rapid rate, quote unquote, right, because instead of focusing on the end results, I try to figure out, okay, what are the mechanics that are being put together in order to produce uh, that end result. Now, these are the mechanics that I found so far that are essentially being combined to make the 10, so to speak, right? Don't share this with anyone. This is secret military grade sauce right here, right? Number one, you've probably heard this a million times, right? Go to your top competitors, um, look at their best performing videos, and you copy that, right? So that's only a half truth, right? What they're talking about is outliers. You want to emulate outliers, right? But the thing is, there are different video formats. Let me explain. And I'm just going to stick with educational formats to speak, right? There's talking head educational format, then there's talking head in Miro, then there's talking head in whiteboard, right? Then there's talking head with B-roll. So all of those have the purpose of educating the viewer, right? But they are formatted differently. Now the thing is, different formats perform differently, right? So you might have a format that averages 10,000 views, right? And then you might have a format that averages 100,000 views, right? Now, let's say you have those two formats. One's averaging 10,000 views and then one's averaging 100,000 views, right? Let's say you make a post on both of them, right? So format, you make a post in the format that typically averages 10,000 views and it gets 100,000 views. It's a 10x multiplier, right? Now, let's say you make a format in a video that typically averages 100,000 views and it gets 300,000 views. That is a 3x multiplier, right? By the logic of what most people tell you, right? They tell you, okay, this format, this video has more views because it has 300,000 views, right? So you study this one. But that literally makes no sense when you understand that different formats perform differently, right? Because on one end, you have one format that, yes, it has 100,000 views, but it's performing 10 times better than its average. Versus this format that, yes, it has 300,000 views, but it's only performing 3 times better than its average, right? So what I do is when I'm comparing outliers, right, I compare average views from posts using the same format. You have to compare format to format, right? Another example is like, let's say you are at a grocery store and there's fucking fruit. There's a whole bunch of fucking fruit, right? Let's say you have a whole bunch of apples and a whole bunch of grapes, right? You take a bite of like two or three apples, they're like decent, right? And then you take a bite of one fucking amazing apple, right? It's fucking amazing, right? What fucking sense does it make to compare that amazing apple to a fucking pear? What fucking sense does it? What fucking sense does it make to compare an amazing apple to like a fucking grape? No, you compare apples to apples, grapes to grapes, pears to pears. That's why you compare formats to formats, formats to formats, and formats to formats. So, number one, stop comparing, intertwining different formats together, right? Second component is at the same time because creators fluctuate, right? So if I'm looking at formats from a year ago, I would only compare that format from around that same time frame because it makes no sense to compare a format that was being used a year ago to a format that's being used today, right? Because the creator could have changed a lot, right? You could have gotten a new editor, a better editing. We could have gotten worse, right? So you want to keep the time frame condensed. So that's the first thing, right? Everything else should be a lot faster to go through. So next up is awareness level. So where is my flywheel? awareness level, simple marketing principles. You probably know more about this than I do. So just asking myself, okay, is this targeting an unaware market, problem aware market, solution aware market, product aware market, most aware market, or is this just a converting piece of content here? Is he just trying to convert, right? Then format, right? So I mark down the format. Then I look at the hook. I literally write down the hook, and then I look at the keywords of the hook. So keywords to me means strings of words that induce emotion within the audience, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all content is just trying to induce emotion within somebody else, right? Then it's key visuals, which is the same thing, but from a visual standpoint. Key sounds, same thing, but from an auditory standpoint. And then purple cow, right? So when you compare a lot of formats together, you'll realize that most of them have the same cadence. They flow the same. They all look the same, right? But then you'll find a piece of content in that same format that just has a special element to it, right? Perfect example is Nick Setting and his Miro boards, right? So everybody does fucking Miro boards, which is why I don't do them, right? So everybody does Miro boards, right? But when you look at Nick Setting's Miro boards, it's the same format, but the purple cow is the complexity of the fucking structure or the shit that he's showing. It's super complex when it really doesn't fucking need to be. That's how I can now compare that, because again it's the same format, right? Um, Talking head Miro board, but compare like that to a regular talking head Miro board. The Nick Settings looks a lot more complex, and that just catches attention, right? So these are the mechanics, and what you do is you literally sit here and you study, and you study 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 for what's working for other people, what words are they using to be able to attract an eye, to be able to what's it called, um, speak to their audience properly, right? And then what you do after you do enough studying, you have enough information to run tests. And this is where we can get into part two. All right. So part one was market research. Part two was implementation. Right. And then you run tests. Right. So first post ever was August 17th, 2025. I don't. Yep. So first video I swiped right and re-implemented was this video right here, and I wrote down a script, and I just wrote my original script off of that, right? And it took me like a couple of days to get really dialed in. But then once I got really dialed in, this is what I started doing, right? I put the original, right? Still wrote down the script. And what I would do is I would write my own information, right, for the body, which is why you see the body here. And then I would run tests on the hook, right? And you can see right here, right? So I would write the original, like literally verbatim, copy the hook, right? I would copy the hook, and then I would make two alterations to the hook, and I would just run tests in my trial rules, right? And then I would mark a winner, and then it's just an iterative process until I learn how to like actually make fucking hooks, right? And after you do that enough, right, you kind of like develop like an eighth sense, right? After you develop that eighth sense, that's when content really gets super easy. I don't really have to do that much in depth do this section anymore because I got really good. And then what you have is that you'll get formats that you can see perform for you pretty well. And then what you do is you templatize them, right? So you can just quickly spit them out. Like these are the formats that I found that work well for me. And the two that I'm going in on right now are comparison. You know this. Comparing coaches and babies for that. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Super templatized, so I can just plug and play. Right? And then door. Right? Different level of color explaining how to blah blah blah. Character one, character like you know that, right? But this is when it gets good, right? After you have templatized your stuff, right? This is what you do. So this is a three pillar theory, right? This is not original. This is from Alex Hormozy, right? So, and he was talking about it in terms of sales, but I connected it to content, right? So there are three things that your ideal prospect needs in order to succeed, right? And because we are trying to use content to get money in our fucking pocket, we need to be able to solve these problems for them, right? I don't think that I tell you that, but they need all three. They need it, right? Because you have to look at it like a stool with three legs, right? If you have one leg, you're gonna fall and bust your ass, right? If you have two, legs, you're gonna balance for a little bit, then you're gonna fall and bust your ass, right? You only stand firm on the stool when all three legs are there. So what you do is you figure out what are the three legs that my stool needs to stand on, which are long way to say content pillars. What are my three content pillars, right? I have client acquisition, client nurturing, client conversion, and I have everything that I see that doesn't fit in there, right? And this is so important because it literally makes your job 1,000 times easy. And now I'll show you like how I fucking script videos. Like I am so systematized that it's like it's so fucking simple, right? This is kind of like the what these checks mean. So scripted, scripted and recorded, scripted, blah 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 blah, right? So these videos are in the middle of being scripted, right? So I'll show you an example. This right here should be, yep, this is a comparing video, right? So what I do is I literally paste in the format, then I paste in one of the things, like one of the points in my three pillars, like literally. I don't even think about it. Template, three pillars, right? I go here, my barely any thought. Copy, then I go back. Actually, don't go back. I have two windows open, so it's just a little bit more efficient, right? And I literally do this. Boom, right? And then after I do that for every single one that I'm make, right? You can see don't let people off the hook, different type of funnel formats, right? Now I go back, and this is what it looks like for the. Actually, I'm working on that one. Is it this one? No, it's the next one. This is what it looked like for the door format, right? So I literally just put the value up here because it's just one content pillar being expounded on five people, right? After I do that, I just go back and I start filling in the information. All right, so value adds versus organic, so door format, and I just fill in the information. Boom, boom, boom. Bro, actually, I finished this one, so I can put a check right there. Give me 1 second. Sorry if I'm spazzing right now. I've been working for 5 hours now. I'm also fucking caffeine. There's caffeine flowing through my veins, and I fucking love it. I'm off a fucking bean right now. Value. Do not lay off the people off the hook, and I just plug in the information, right? So if done correctly, it just becomes so fucking easy. Like the concept of like the comparison videos is like you expound on one topic in each of the pillars, right? And the concept of the door format is you expound one topic in one pillar to its highest level, right? So that's what you can see right here. Let me give you an example. This one is ads versus organic, right? This is going to be expounded to its highest level, right? You should never run ads. Free is the only thing for me. You should never go organic. If you ain't paying, you ain't slaying. I'm fucking retarded. My bad idea. Holy shit. Most of your traffic needs to come for paid, but sprinkle in some organic for nurturing. Character 4. The split needs to be 75 organic, 25 paid. Use your organic to take prospects from unaware to product aware. And this is in relation to the audience awareness levels, right? Then use paid to take them to ready to buy. This is what Brez does, and that's how he makes millions from his mentorship. But the majority of his audience doesn't even know he has one, right? Because for some, like, it's fucking weird. Most people don't know that he has a mentorship. It's fucking spez. So that's like an example of one idea being expounded over one format. But let's say I wanted to work on this next, which I am, right? Content pillars, right? I can literally just come in here. I don't know what content pillars are. Blah 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 blah. Right? I only have one content pillar, which is lifestyle content. Boom. I different use four different content pillars, which are value, lifestyle. You kind of get the point. It becomes so easy when you've done the market research and you found like a format that works for you, right? And then you templatize it so you can just spit out content, right? Because it's all about distribution, right? Content. When people struggle with content, number one is a format problem, and then secondly, it's a distribution problem. It's too much of a fucking mental bottleneck to get them to start doing content. But when it's fucking easy peasy like this, like shit, I can just spit this out like on a daily basis. Yeah. Hope this helps. I hope I didn't spaz out too much because, like I said, I'm off of like four, maybe 600 milligrams of caffeine right now, so I'm fucking hyper and I'm crushing just deep work right now. So yeah, if something didn't make sense or I spazzed out too much, just let me know. I'll fucking go more in depth about a specific topic.
Now, after you reverse engineer your competitors' content and start making posts of your own and you start attracting your exact avatar, you're going to want to start the research phase. Now, over here are the research instructions that I follow every time I want to run up an info product. Conduct in-depth client onboarding call. This is for the creator. You don't necessarily need this because in this scenario, you are technically the creator and nobody should know you more than yourself. So 2, send a research emails to existing list. If your creator has an email list or already sold something, you can send them emails list to get them re-engaged. They will help warm your email list back up, blah, blah, blah. Create an in-depth Typeform survey. Let me show you what one of those looks like. So this is a Typeform survey I sent out to one of my creators. This was all a little bit ago, November 1st. I think it was longer ago than that actually. What is this? It's back in August. You can kind of see the data that we're able to pull from this Typeform survey. In this niche, this was a photography niche, and the offer is helping people start photography businesses, right? So first question was, do you want to start photography, or are you struggling to start a photography? Actually, instead of just guessing, let's just look at it right now. What is wrong with me? Do you dream of owning a photography, preset videography business? What's the hardest part about running one? What kind of supports you need in order to get you over the hump? If I was to personally mentor you through so they're thinking that it's the creator making this, but it was me. But if I was to personally mentor you through the issue to help you start your own business, what result would you need to see in order to be satisfied with the mentorship? If I was able to provide you with support you need and guarantee that results for you, how much would you be into investing in the mentorship program? Would you be ready to start in the next 7 to 14 days? What's stopping you from going all in? What would you take to actually take this next step? What kind of help would feel useful to you right now? What have you tried in order to fix the issues and what was the result? Bang, bang, bang. And now we can look at the results of this, which gives us the richest amount of data so we can build the offer. To what's the hardest part about starting / running one right now? Because when I film, I can't film with a storyline. It's so hard. I love filming, but making it cinematic is hard. Finding time to film around. Like this is, look at the data we're able to pull here. Searching for customers and knowing what kind of customers, wedding, corporate, blah, blah, blah. Getting equipment I need, getting clients, learn all the video editing techniques, security and gaining work, building the right portfolio to enter the video creation industry. Let's look at the next question. What have you tried in order to fix this issue and what was the result? YouTube, but nobody teaches how to do it. My weakness. Courses in my contact creation community. I don't know why they put contact. I'm pretty sure they meant content. Make better use of my downtime. Establishing online presence, learning, blah, blah, blah. What's next? What kind of supports do you think you'll need in order to get you over that hump? Research and better understanding of my online work. Not sure I have so many projects running. Tips on how to justify financial support for more equipment. Getting a good online material and covers. If I was to personally train, you can. I don't think I have to go over each and every one, right? But you can kind of see all the data, and then this gives us a general sense of the price point that people would be able to be at, right? So a lot of people, right, when they put others, they had to input like the other price. So 500 up to 1,000, 1K, blah, 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 for people that didn't fit in this range, right? But majority were at, well, but other than if we took this option out, majority were at 3 to 5K, 5 to 7.5 was next, and then 7.5 to 10 was 1. So this lets us know that the offer needed to be at between 3 to 5K. Right now with downsell, right? For a low ticket offer, we can do something that's at least $99 per month. And for a mid ticket offer, if we want to have an order bump, we can afford to go all the way up to 5 to 700, 750. Unfortunately, I was not able to actually launch this offer because the creator ended up wanting to extend the time in which things were launched, and that's just not something I uh, was willing to do. Would you be ready to start in the next 7 to 14 days? 14 were saying yes. What's stopping me from going all in? Blah, blah, blah. You can see what I mean by type form research. It gives us very rich data. Getting back into here, conduct in-depth calls with your ICP. I can show you guys that as well. So we like to host at least 5 market research calls. And what these market research calls allow us to do is fish out very condensed pieces of information from our exact ICP. These 4 calls right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one didn't record all the way because I forgot to let the Fathom into the Google Meet. But these 4 recordings have very rich data on the ICP for an offer we were running. I'm not going to play them for privacy reasons, but I'll show you the questions that we ask. So if we go over here, right, what problems did you face in niche before joining the community? How did you feel emotionally facing these problems? And where you see something like community, you can change that. So if this ICP customer didn't come from a specific community of yours and they just been engaging with your content, you can just say, what problem did you face? Are you facing in niche that has you resonating with my content? So don't be a bot. You can change this around. How did you feel emotionally facing these problems? What were some of the fears before joining the server? Again, that can be changed depending on on where you're at. Do you have uncertainty about niche? Like, were you scared of fear? Blah blah blah. What were some fears that held you back? Why did you almost not buy? This is a very powerful one because you can start using that to pre-handle objections. What did you try before that didn't work? Did you try to learn completely on your own? Did you join communities before this one? Why did you end up buying the product over other services? What this lets you know what to highlight on your marketing. What stood out to you about our product over the others when you joined? What did you want with niche when you initially started niche? What did you want a few months into your journey? What are some goals for your niche? When you bought the product, I think you guys can read that on your own. But we ask very specific questions to fish out information that we need, and this all culminates in us building what we like to call a creative brief. And I'll show you an example of a creative brief here. So a creative brief is just a rich document that we build utilizing the data that we get from our market research, right? And this basically helps us with all our marketing and copywriting and everything moving forward. You can see it's typically between 12 to 30, 15 to 30 pages of just rich data going over our exact ICP. I'm gonna let this load a little bit. On page 6 of 16. There we go. And I can actually, yeah, now that it's fully loaded, I can show you the different sections. So the promise, so it's going over the promise of the low ticket offer and the high ticket offer, the problem that they're journeying, and you want to tell it in a instead of just saying, oh, this is the problem that XYZ is facing, you want to tell it in the form of a customer's journey, right? Because when you tell it in the form of a customer's journey, it forces you as the marketer to be able to speak from the standpoint of the consumer, if that makes sense. And when you can speak from the standpoint of the consumer, you are able to target their pain points from a deeper level, which makes you more marketable, right? You're more effective. Then list of the problems that they're facing, their desires, right? So once again, you tell this in the form of a story. Then you list out their desires. Then, of course, the gap and how do you bridge it. For example, gap market volatility, the inherent risk and uncertainties in trading markets can create anxiety and stress for traders, impacting their decision making and overall well-being. Bridge, having a trading plan and charts to always stick to the most logical decision in every trading scenario and not trade emotionally. High ticket bridge, done for you trading plan drafts, done for you charting setup. And we can continue on with all these gaps and bridges, but you leverage the information. I can't stress this enough. This is the importance of the market research. You leverage the information that you're getting from the market research to build your offer and your marketing and your messaging, and to figure out what angles you can take. So unique USP and USP details, high ticket only, both, blah blah blah. Reasons that to believe, features and benefits. So once again, this has been going over the different sections of the creative brief. Product deliverables for both the low ticket and the high ticket. The sales argument, so why people should buy for the high ticket offer and the low ticket offer. Customer verticals. So if how do I explain customer verticals? So within a specific niche, you're going to have different avatars, right? So let's say fitness niche is always the easiest because everybody can understand the fitness niche. Somebody that's between the age of 23, no, between the age of 20, why do I start 20? Between the age of 18 to 23 is going to have different motivations for wanting to get fit or stay fit, and they're going to have a different process for doing that than somebody that's between the age of 24 to about 30. Same thing with 30 to about 50, and same thing from 50 to about 70. Right, so somebody that's 18 to 23, they're still their metabolism is still good, they're still intact, they still have high testosterone if they're males. They're predominantly, if you're targeting men, they want to get fit so they can attract women. So you can use that in your marketing. If they're about 24 to 25, they're reaching the peak of their male performance, because testosterone peaks at around the age of 25, 26, right? They're entering more mature relationships, so there's a probability that they've let themselves go, and or not, I wouldn't say go all the way. There's a probability that they've started to decline, because they've gotten comfortable in their relationship and they want to regain their college body, right? When you're dealing with 30 to 50, right, there's like an 80% chance that they've let go of their college body, and that becomes the core pain point, wanting to regain that their youth, and make their loved one, wife, or whoever their loved one, look at them in a different light. And then like 50 to 70, it's really all about maintaining life, preserving life, and making death as graceful as possible. That's what we mean by customer vertical. So all those people are within the fitness niche, right? It's the same offer technically, right? But depending on the vertical, there are different pain points, there are different desires, there are different mechanics required to properly sell to them. So understanding the different verticals in your market is so important. And if you're not taking the time out to do that, you are doing yourself a disservice. Potential questions they might ask, objections that they might have, commonalities between verticals, future desire lists, and feedback. That's pretty much it, right? So that's what a fleshed out creative brief does, and that would complete the market research phase. Now, next phase is actually building your offer from the material that you got here. These two phases kind of get done at the same time, because you basically build your offer within the creative brief. Over here, I just have some small components of your offer. So lead magnet, which can be, for example, sticking to the fitness niche. Lead magnet is what brings people into the ecosystem. So this can be a free diet plan, free workout plan, free fitness evaluation, doesn't really matter. Main offer is typically one-on-one coaching, or typically one-on-one coaching, downsell, or this can actually be downsell, low ticket offer, or mid ticket offer. Could be a course, it could be a school community, right? It could be whatever, right? And then continuity offer is just something that how do I explain a continuity offer, right? So the theory behind a continuity offer is that you don't want people to just pay you one time. You make the most amount of money when people keep paying you. So a continuity offer is something that you have in place for people to repeatedly pay you for as long as possible. For example, my continuity offer is very easy, right? For my highest ticket offer, right? It's a 5-figure investment and 20% of the revenue. Well, not 20%, right? It actually varies, right? But 15 to 30% of the revenue that I generate for the info business that I am working with, right? So the upfront fee is to set up everything. The revenue share is for the continued management of their offer, and that revenue share is my continuity offer, right? Um, Something in the fitness niche that you can do is having a limit on the one-on-one coaching that your customers get. Let's say they get 8 for about 3 grand, right? And once they run out, they can buy more spots for at a discounted price, of course. So that's an example of a continuity offer. It's just however you choose to get people to continue to give you money. Now, after you have that, you have testing the offer with private selling, right? I don't really like um, releasing unvalidated ideas within the market, because that's when offers tank, and then you are left running away with your tail between your legs, because you just try to have this big release that nobody bought, right? Now, the caveat here is I don't want you to enter this from a standpoint of oh, you have to build your audience first before you can sell. You can actually sell while building. You just have to do it the right way. There's really only one team member you'll need at this stage, and that is a DM setter, right? If you're using Instagram, which I recommend you use. Instagram is the quickest way to launch an offer, because the feedback loop on short form content is just so fucking easy. So a DM setter is really all you need. So as you start gaining traction, and the KPI you want to look out for is you're consistently getting about, I would say, 40 to 50 or more followers per day. Once you hit that KPI, you are good to have a DM setter, because that's enough conversations for some sales to happen, right? So all you have to do is you have to get your DM setters to just reach out to these people, book calls for you, and sell your offer, right? Now, after you validate this idea, what you want to look for is you want to have continual testing, because you can do all this planning, right? And then you don't know what you don't know until you figure it out. So you learn what the market truly wants by trying to sell it to them. So that's why we like to test the offer while in private. Now, once your offer is fully fleshed out, then we can actually launch it, this is the part that everybody skips to, right? This is the exciting part, just launching the offer, and this is what everybody focuses on for some reason. But it's if you have everything else dialed in and your content is dialed in, launching an offer it's not really that difficult. It's super easy. So you can have multiple channels. You can have one channel. It doesn't really matter. Main ones are written, long form, and short form content. Let's start off over here. Of course, you have email marketing. Everything gets funneled down to a waiting list. And the framework you want to follow is whisper, tease, shout. It's about a 17 to 14 day period of launching the offer, where you start off by teasing the opportunity, then you tell the audience more about it, and then lastly you basically build extreme urgency within the shout phase. So you can do that through copywriting an email. You can do that through long form content, right? And have in video CTAs into the wait list, or you can do story CTAs and story sequences on Instagram to get people in the wait list, right? Wait list, I have different icons over here, because the wait list is something that can change depending on the data that you get from your market research. Remember, that's why I said that market research is so important. Let's say you have an older demographic. An older demographic is not going to be comfortable with Discord because they are old. What they're accustomed to is something like Facebook. Let's say you have a younger business-minded demographic. They still wouldn't be accustomed to Discord, because that's more like gamey people, right? You would want to put them in the Telegram. So these are the little nuances that you want to pay attention to when you're making the selection. But that's actually something that we want to keep in mind with anything I say. Nuance is so important. That is something that's unfortunately I cannot convey properly through YouTube. But yeah. After the 14 days launch sequence, what you're going to want to do is have a 7-day cart open. You only want to have a 7-day cart open because that is a urgency mechanic to get more people to buy. And simultaneously, once the cart opens, you have a DM setter or a dialer reaching out to leads in a wait list, right? And what we're pushing people to is through the high ticket landing page, where of course you have your copy, VSL, Calendly, and some testimonials if you already have some, which you should if you are private selling. That's another aspect of private selling, is that you are able to collect testimonials for your official launch. Opt-in button takes them to a Typeform survey. I already showed you a Typeform survey. Typeform's main purpose is to collect. This is actually untrue now, because remember we collected we I don't know why I still have that there. This should have been up here. We collect the email and phone number up here before they enter the waitlist. So that's actually not accurate. But after they fill out the type form, that's actually a qualification metric mechanic, because you're able to split path. And I'll show you what that means back in type form. Let's go up here. So workflow. You see how this path splits? That's depending on the customer's answer. So you're essentially able to disqualify leads and take them towards different destinations. So let's say this question is about, are you ready to give me 5K? Right? And the answer is like yes or no. Yes, sends them to a calendar page. No, sends them to a out your funnel essentially. Right? So if they don't meet the qualification metrics, then they are unqualified, the high ticket, then they are pushed to the low ticket offer, which can be a low ticket community predominantly, or it could be just a PDF or a course or whatever your low ticket or mid ticket offer is, right? Where they are nurtured within that offer, right? And then upsold into the main high ticket funnel later on once they are more qualified. Once they are qualified, they book in through Calendly. You only want them to be able to set the call for 48 to 78 hours, 48 to 72 hours out, because if you don't, the further out somebody books, the decreased likelihood of them actually showing up on the call, right? Immediately after booking the call, confirmation to a text saying thank you, and then you want to ask them, you want to send a link to a pre-call resource, which its purpose is to further educate the customer, which will make them more nurtured when they get on the call. Reminder text and email morning of the call, just to keep it top of mind, and then they get closed on the sales call. Now, important thing is that once they enter the type form, right, if at any point in time they abandon cart, as in they don't complete the full funnel, right, we have a 7-day abandoned cart sequence where emails are blasted out to them, text messages are blasted out to them, and phone calls are made out to them to get them back in the funnel. And lastly, we have an organic retargeting campaign, and I'll play a video here in the last segment so you can know what these different mechanics are. But yeah, I'll actually just do that now. We're going to start off with the marketing principles that you need to understand first. And it comes down to two things: audience awareness level and market sophistication. You've probably heard, if you're anywhere around the info space or anywhere around the marketing space, you've heard of top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. This is the buzzword that everybody likes to fucking use. But it gets more nuanced than that, because like I said, those are just fucking buzzwords. Today, I'm about to teach you exactly what these means and the mechanics you need to change in order to effectively capture an audience at that level. I'm sipping on some fucking European bubbly water. I'm fancy now. You're lucky I don't have, what's the trend going on? Black people are trading Nike Techs for the quarter zips. You lucky I don't have my fucking quarter zip on. That's the next step, right? Once I hit a fucking 100K a month, I'm going to quarter zip. I'm going to be a quarter zip nigga. Now, you're not going to see me in none of this shit, right? But for now, I'm at bubbly water level. But starting off at an unaware market, You have to understand that this is the broadest audience. They have no identified problem in regards to your solution. As I go through here, what you're going to start to understand is that all of this is forcing your audience, forcing whoever you're targeting to start asking themselves questions in relation to your offer or whatever product you're trying to push. Because if somebody is not asking questions about you in their mind, you have no chance to sell them. Because if they are not asking questions, they are a closed door. So when you're targeting an unaware market, the purpose is to open that door so you can start feeding them all the rest of your marketing stuff. And you do this with curiosity. The goal when advertising to this audience is leveraging curiosity to get them asking questions that eventually makes them realize that they have a problem. We're going to skip traditional marketing examples. Excuse me, I told you, I'm burping now because I'm drinking that bubbly water, right? We're gonna skip traditional marketing examples because I know you're not as fucking nerdy and dorky as me. You don't wanna get into the fucking nuance. You just wanna know exactly how you can use it in info, which is fine. That's exactly what I'm gonna fucking show you because I have info examples as well. If you look here, info marketing, I bought my dream car at 23. I bought a $400,000 GT3 RS at 20. Posts like this make your audience ask themselves, how is this kid able to afford this lifestyle? Which leads them to them realizing that they need to lock in because they are poor in comparison, which leads to them start asking them a question on how they can make more money, which becomes their core problem. They don't know how to make enough money to afford this lifestyle. So this opens the door of communication. But now that the door of communication is open and they are aware that they don't know how to make money to afford this lifestyle, now we can feed more marketing into them. We move on to problem aware. Audience is not aware of the problem but don't have a solution. The goal in advertising is to agitate the problem and point them to a solution. Problem agitation is so fucking important. And I'll tell you why. Because this is not like a marketing gimmick. It just goes down to fucking human psychology on how we evolved. There's a reason why we developed pain receptors. Because if we do not feel pain, we will not be incentivized to actually do anything about any situation that we're in. Let me give you an example, right? Let's say you had a chunk missing out of your fucking back, like right here, where you can't fucking, you can't see it. It's never going to really affect you, right? Except that it's a fucking chunk missing out of your fucking back, right? If you did not feel pain, you will never fucking fix it. So now you just have an open hole, and now a whole bunch of fucking bacteria can enter your fucking body and kill you because you weren't aware that that piece of your fucking your back is missing. Now, because we have pain receptors, if a chunk out of our back goes missing, it's gonna be fucking painful, and we're gonna be very aware that there's something fucking wrong, and we're gonna be more incentivized to fix it. We're gonna go to the fucking hospital and get us patched up so bacteria doesn't fucking invade our body and kill us, right? It works the same way. You have to make the customer very aware of their fucking problem, and you do that by agitating it. And I wanted to take a break here and really dive in this point because this is a big mistake that I see a lot of people do. I just had to get on one of my setters' ass because they do not fucking effectively induce pain within the audience, within the people that they're talking to. Pain is your fucking friend, right? If you do not know how to cause pain, if you do not know how to make your prospect feel pain, from every single fucking level of your marketing, whether it's through the content, whether it's through the fucking ads, whether it's through the fucking sales, whether it's through the fucking calls. If you do not know how to make people feel pain, you're just going to be poor for the rest of your life. And it's so important that I had to fucking take a break and make you very aware. You need to get good at making people feel pain. Because once you can make people feel pain, you can point them to a solution. Stuff like this, right? Content like this, explaining a business model that makes me $100K per month at 19, closing $80K of SMMA clients in 72 hours. Posts like this answer the question of how can I make money to afford this lifestyle by exposing the business model that's allowing the creator to have said lifestyle, But that brings up the follow-up question: how can I capitalize on this lifestyle at the same level this creator does? Now I know what you're fucking asking. Well, Lionel, you just said induce pain. How is this content positioned to induce pain? Notice how they're focusing on either the distinction of how much money they're making versus their age, or the distinction of how much money they're making versus their time. That's the pain mechanism. Because in the prospect's head, right, if you're anything older than 19, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? This 19-year-old is making 100 grand a month, and I'm this fucking 23-year-old, and I'm only making 60 grand a year. That's very painful. Let's look at this, right? Closing 80K of SMA clients in 72 hours. Again, the pain mechanic is the time. Because if you're fucking watching this, let's say you get paid a measly fucking 2 grand per week. You're making $8,000 a month. You read this shit and you're like, what the fuck? He made 80 grand in 72 hours. And I made a measly 2 grand in a week. That's the pain mechanic. And once the pain is open, you're pointing them towards the direction of whatever business model or offer or coaching program or whatever the fuck you want to point them to. But pain is so important. I will stress this so many times. Once you're done with problem aware, they become solution aware. At this point in the pyramid, the audience is aware of their problem and your solution, but they start to actively look at all solutions to that problem. To stay in the theme of online biz op, right? Blah, blah, blah. I could go off the top of my fucking head, right? So this is the person that knows that they're fucking poor. And maybe they got exposed to the fact that they're poor by Brez Scales, because he sells fucking freelance brand scaling. By the way, if you didn't know this, right? And this is, and I fucking love the info space because you can see, when you understand this, you can understand the other things that people are using, right? So freelance brand scaling, by the way, has been around for fucking years. All Brez did was take something that was already in existence, which is media buying. That's been around forever. It's not a new thing. And add his own fucking twist. That's why he blew up. And you'll see that when we get into levels of market sophistication, because Brez understood that he was in a sophisticated market. So what he did is that he fucking introduced a new mechanism, which restarted the levels of the stages of market sophistication. But we'll get there here in a second. But I like going on tangents because this shit is so fucking beautiful. Like, I love this shit. But where the fuck was I at? Solution aware. All right. So this is the person that knows that they're fucking poor, and Brez exposes them to freelance brand scaling. But the person that's solution aware, right, they're going to start looking at SMMA as well. They're going to start looking at e-com as well. They're going to start looking at crypto as well. They're going to start looking at fucking day trading as well, right? This is the person that's jumping around from business model to business model. They're problem aware, and they are in the solution aware stage, right? How do you solve that? You give them beginner level fucking tutorials, right? That's how you fucking solve that. Beginner level tutorials are what targets this level of awareness. The goal of these tutorials is to frame the creator solution as the easiest one to get into, simplest to actually run, and the highest probability to succeed. Secondary and tertiary goals are to reduce risk and build trust. This is also where you start seeing stronger CTAs. So you want the prospect to start perceiving your option as the best possible option available for solving their specific problem. And once you successfully do that, you're not fucking done, because now they are product aware. And product aware people, at this point, the person believes in freelance brand scaling or media buying, which is what it really fucking is, right? They believe in freelance brand scaling, but they're not just gonna look at Brez Scales, right? They're gonna look at, I don't even know who the other fucking freelance brand scaler mentors are, because Brez just, and this just goes back to him, to market sophistication, right? Brez did a fucking amazing play there. But They'll start looking at all the mentors for freelance brand scaling, right? And that's when the goal is to show your audience why your specific brand slash product is the irrefutable best, which Brez does a fucking amazing job of that. And the way you do that is with just, what's it called? Trust assets. So testimonials, proof assets, blah, blah, blah. Implementation of trust assets to scale trust, blah, 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 right? Because you got to have, you want people to start believing in you, right? And once you do that, they are most aware. And at this point, the buyer is sold on your product and is looking for the opportunity to give you money. And that's when you can have super strong CTAs, right? You need to understand all of this, because if you don't, you're gonna just do fucking stupid shit because you're not gonna know how to funnel people down through fucking marketing. But that's not it, because now we have to get into market sophistication. So market sophistication just basically explains different mechanics that you need to introduce as a market gets more sophisticated, right? I think I have a little aside right here. You realize that as your market goes down sophistication levels, skepticism increases due to different claims made by the companies within that market. That's why at each stage you need to introduce new mechanisms that allow you to fight their growing skepticism, right? And I'll go stage by stage and show you the mechanism you need to introduce, right? So stage one, market is new and you have little to no competition. This means that you have first to market advantage, and all that's needed for here is for you to make people aware of your existence. Message basically just needs to be, I exist, this is what I do, right? If you have first mover advantage, not gonna lie, you're basically goated. It's gonna be very hard for people to beat you. Stage two, a small amount of competition has entered the marketplace. Messaging needs to switch from I exist, this is what I do, to I exist, this is what I do, and these features make me different from my competition. Focus shift from the existence of your product or service to the specific features of your product or service that make you different from your competition. Because you gotta remember, at this stage, competition has now entered the door. I need another fucking bubbly break. Stage three, market is even more saturated and the messaging needs to change again. Messaging needs to go from I exist, this is what I do, and these are the features that make me different from my competition, to I exist, this is what I do, these features make me different from my competition, and these specific processes are what allows me to get you better results. You switch from focusing on the features to focusing on how you'll get them XYZ results, aka the process. Stage four. And remember, as we go down these stages, all right, you just get it's just more and more competition has entered the marketplace, and there's more and more confusion from the customer side, skepticism from the customer side onto who to fucking pick. And these are what you need to do in order to change it, to get people to buy into you. Stage four, at this point, market is hyper saturated. Skepticism runs high because they've heard every offer from every competitor. So you need to introduce a risk reversal. Messaging needs to switch from I exist, this is what I do, these features make me different from my competition, these specific processes are what allows me to get you better results, to I exist, this is what I do, these features make me different from my competition, I have these specific processes that allow me to get you better results, and if you don't get these results, I'll give you XYZ risk reversals. And then lastly, stage five. At this point, the market is at max skepticism, and there are only two ways to survive. Brand, this includes brand identity, authority, positioning, etc. I heard Alex Hormozi say this best. Direct response marketers get rich, not wealthy, because direct response marketers don't put an emphasis on fucking brand. Look at Nike. Are they running direct response campaigns? Fuck no. Look at all the big brands. None of them really run direct response campaigns because they are all focused on building their brand. And it's because they are competing at this stage of market sophistication, stage five. So it's by brand, or number two, which is what Brez did, completely reinventing the product / service, which will then birth a new market, starting the cycle over. And I love Brez Scales as a fucking example. Like I said before, freelance brand scaling has been around forever. It's not something new. It's just fucking media buying. Specifically for clothing. That's all it is. But because Bread, or maybe his marketer, right? I know his operator is Pierre. I don't know who fucking thought of this shit, right? But he took media buying and added a unique angle to it. Oh no, this isn't media buying. No. Right? I only focus on what's it called? On holy shit, I'm spazzing. I need my bubbly. I need a bubbly brain. That's the importance. If you're trying to get rich and you're still drinking regular fucking water, you're gonna be broke for the rest of your life. Bubbly water gives you fucking optimized brain waves. Holy shit. This isn't media buying. I'm focusing on clothing brands, right? This is something completely different. It's freelance brand scaling. Guess what that does? That restarts market sophistication. And now he gets to be the first mover. That's why he's so much bigger than all the other fucking freelance brand scaling mentors, blah, 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 blah. But he's essentially doing the same thing that's been around forever. That's why you need to understand this. Before you ever fucking make a piece of fucking bullshit content and then you start fucking bitching about why your shit's not working, right? I fucking hate that shit, gets on my nerves, right? But here's the super deep nuance that a lot of people miss. Whoa, where did I go? Where did we go? Okay. Each level of awareness has its own inner sophistication. So unaware, problem aware, so all these levels, right? They have levels of sophistication within it. I'll give you an example, right? Excuse me. Let's say you're a fucking fitness coach. And I like to use fitness because everybody understands fitness. We don't have to fucking break down something super complex here, right? It's fucking fitness, right? Let's say you're a fitness coach and you're in the fitness niche, right? Well, I don't know what other niche a fucking fitness coach would be, but let's say you're a fucking fitness coach and your main lead source is Instagram. So you fucking do a lot of Instagram, right? And you get a fucking video to pop off because in the hook, and this is where content purposing, content structuring goes in. Because if you look at your fucking data, right, you'll understand that every piece of fucking content is just a funnel. The hook is where you attract the unaware, right? The body is the middle of the funnel, and the CTA at the end is just the bottom of the funnel. But I won't even get into that just yet, right? But your hook, right, which is supposed to grab the most attention, right? Let's say you find a winning hook, and it's by starting your video by doing a fucking handstand, right? Get a fucking million views, whoop-de-doo, right? What's gonna happen is that your competitors are gonna see that doing a handstand gets you a lot of views, and they're gonna start doing a handstand, right? Which is going to make that hook variation less and less effective because more and more people are doing it, to where it becomes that doing fucking handstands is just what every other fucking fitness coach does, right? But now you can go in here, and because you understand market sophistication and you understand that each level of the awareness pyramid has its own sophistication within it, you can go in here and be like, okay, everybody's fucking doing a handstand. I'm gonna do a backflip into a handstand. And now you restart the fucking levels. This is exactly what I did to generate 1.2 million views for myself within my first 60 days because I just fucking understood that shit. Because we all know all the fucking people in the info space do the same boring ass fucking Miro boards. They do. So I took my time to understand why these Miro boards work. And I was like, okay, cool. I understand that works. Let me reverse engineer a new mechanism in the space. And that's how I got this shit. I completely swiped this format from a niche outside of myself, outside the info space. And it got me so many fucking views, right? And more importantly, it got me so many fucking leads, so to speak, right? And that's the first level of understanding. So now that you understand what all of this means, when I mean by an organic retargeting campaign, what you're essentially going to want to do is you're going to want to follow top of funnel on IG, right? Then middle funnel or hybrid, right? So on one YouTube channel, I don't know why they didn't just put YT, right? And then just straight bottom of funnel on a third YouTube channel to YouTube or second. And this is something that Brez Scales actually does. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. He actually is doing it a lot more because he started a second Instagram. But Instagram is straight TOP to a F, top of funnel. This is top of funnel slash middle of funnel. And then this is straight bottom of funnel, educational content. Let me show you an example with Brez Scales, right? So if we go over here, Brez Scales, obviously 1.1 million followers, very much nothing educational at all, right? Just straight brain rot, essentially. But everybody is funneled down into his YouTube. His main one, where he's showing off more of his lifestyle, talking more about his mechanic, which is freelance brand scaling, which is really just media buying specific to clothing brands. And then he has this last channel, as Brez, where he does most of his educational content. This is straight all bottom of funnel. And this is what I mean by IG top of funnel, YouTube 1 top of funnel slash middle of funnel, YouTube 2 just all bottom of funnel content. That's essentially how you will scale a 7-figure per month offer. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. If you are an online coach or somebody that would like to scale their own offer and just needs a little bit of guidance, the link to how you can work with me is in my bio.